This is probably the hardest thing I've ever talked about. Religion is still not something we talk about at work. And I think it's a shame because it's an important part of my life, and I'm sure for others as well. I've always felt awkward talking about it, not wanted to seem as if I'm preaching, or made to feel stupid or different or weird. Um, and I recognize that for some people, religion can be divisive as well. That's always meant I've been cautious about talking about it. However, religion and spirituality have been a really big part of my life, my values, and my inspiration. It also accounts for a really big part of how I spend my time. So, not talking about it means that I withhold a big part of myself, um, of my passion, of my inspiration and purpose, leaving people around me feeling that I'm distant or secretive, or maybe even that they can't fully trust me. It's taken me a long time to be comfortable about it, though this is still pretty scary, to be honest. One of the many reasons I joined Newton Investment Management last year was that the CEO here is open about his faith, and I think strikes the right balance between sharing without imposing. We also run a lot of money for churches and other religious institutions at Newton. And so this was a real challenge and an opportunity for me to be more open about my faith. My dad was born a Jain and my mum a Hindu. Growing up in Africa, neither had asked many questions about religion, and so their religion was somewhat handed down and unexamined. I knew very early on that that wasn't going to work for me. Even as a teenager, I had a lot of questions. I did a lot of my own research, and I wanted to decide one way or another whether religion was going to form a big part of my life. I wasn't willing to do so half-heartedly. Having exhausted a number of Hindu priests and family elders, I ultimately, after graduating from LSE, went to India to a place called Tattwagnan Vidyapit, which is a monastery of sorts, to study Hinduism, learn Sanskrit, study comparative world religions, the philosophy of religion, etc., whilst living a very simple monastic life. And I learned that Hinduism is a living religion with no single founder. It's evolved over many millennia and in many different directions, and continues to evolve and be added to by modern day saints and thinkers. Hindus are empowered to explore their faith themselves, and I've really resonated with this, recognizing that people are different. So as individuals within Hinduism, we can place our faith in a form that works for us, with a real belief that all rivers flow into the same ocean. And that's how many gods, idols, forms of worship have evolved over time. But unlike the popular depiction of Hinduism, Hindus do believe in a single God, a single energy source without form or qualities beyond space and time. And few people know that you don't actually have to even believe in a God to be Hindu. Karma and reincarnation are far more fundamental aspects of being a Hindu. One modern day saint has been a huge influence for me, Pandurang Shastri Attavale. He was born in Maharashtra in 1920 in India and won the John Templeton Prize in 1997 for progress in religion from the Duke of Edinburgh for his innovations in alleviating poverty and uplifting millions of downtrodden people through religion as a socio-economic force. And so his work, his thinking, his experiments have been a huge source of inspiration and also volunteering for me and friends of mine. So what is my faith? It's still evolving, to be clear. My foundations are in Hinduism, but I have many influences. I've loved the brotherhood of Islam, the love of God from Christianity, the idea that truth has many faces from Jainism, the mindfulness and presence of Buddhism, as well as my own interest in science and modern science. My current understanding of God is that God is intelligent, loving, creative energy that exists in each of us, maybe in every atom. But this isn't a static belief. It's a source of experimentation, experience, and exploration for me. Every day I pray, I introspect, I journal, and I try and see that God in me and in everyone around me. I believe the purpose of life is to discover and experience that deeper connection with all of humanity. Um, Ultimately, life for me is to expand my circle of love from myself to my family to the wider community, and hopefully one day to encompass the whole world. And that is often expressed through service and selfless acts. Work and working in the city and investment and specifically leadership has been a huge opportunity for me to serve others. And I see it as one of the greatest jobs in the world in being able to do that. And my passion for diversity, equity, inclusion, even ESG more broadly, has been rooted in seeing each person as equal, as valuing our differences and wanting to serve those that are being left behind, whilst thinking about the world we leave for future generations. Um, Death as a Hindu isn't something I want to fear, with strengthening of a belief that my soul will be reincarnated, just as energy isn't created or destroyed, only transformed. So I see this as a journey of multiple lifetimes. So my faith is something that is kind of so core to who I am, how I see things, how I show up at work, how I interact with others, my desire for learning and growth and development, but also, what my purpose and what makes me tick. My faith is a huge source of strength. It's been a massive source of resilience for me in difficult times, as well as providing a foundation for my morality and values. And I think companies miss out by not tapping into this, and not engaging us around these topics. With each day, I am learning to embrace my religion and to tap into a deeper part of myself that I can bring more fully to work. I hope you can too.